Welcome back, everyone. This is Sheepdog Smokey, and sometimes you just can't make anything up. Vegan vigilantes caused traffic chaos in Melbourne's CBD and stormed farms across Australia in coordinated events as animal activists boast of the largest protest the world has ever seen. Hundreds of animal rights activists have caused traffic chaos in Melbourne as a part of a large and coordinated mass protest. Vigilantes brought parts of the city to a standstill on Monday morning after gathering at Flinders Street and blocking lanes of traffic with vans marked with banners condemning the slaughter of animals. Protesters have even gone to the length of chaining themselves to cars while their counterparts wave placards that read "Vegan Rising" or "This is a peaceful protest." Some trams have stopped running while others are being diverted. Commuters are being told to consider the City Loop train as an alternative. It's causing quite the headache for people. Public Transport Victoria's Georgia Main told 3AW. Victoria Police said it's monitoring the protest to ensure it is peaceful. The protest is one of many that will be held by thousands of animal activists across the country on Monday. You can see the photos here. On a smaller scale, protesters marched through Sydney CBD after meeting at Hyde Park. Let me close that. Protest spokesman Issa Vera said they are calling on state and federal agriculture ministers to listen to several demands, including adding an animal cruelty documentary to the school curriculum for kids over 15. Despite the small numbers at the protest, Ms. Vera was happy with the turnout. "We've got riot police following us around, so we're obviously shaking things up a bit. I think that protest and direct action and animal rights activism will continue until the demands in the statement are met. They aren't unreasonable demands, we're just asking for transparency and compassion." The mass rallies, which has been described as the largest protest the world has ever seen, will also be held at slaughterhouses and businesses in Brisbane and Hobart. Around 5 a.m., dozens of activists chained themselves to machinery at Carey Brothers Abattoir at Yangon, 100 kilometers southwest of Brisbane, and demanded the release of 3 lambs. After a lengthy 2 hours in negotiations, the vigilantes were escorted off the property. "It was pretty much what was expected," one of the protesters told 7 News. "The workers came in, they called the police, they called the manager, and we negotiated this end result." Many more protests have been planned across Queensland farms and an undisclosed location in Brisbane. The animal rights vigilantes have been tight-lipped about their targets across the country in a bid to reduce the chances of intervention. A Facebook event titled Dominion Anniversary Action has 224 people going and 652 people interested in the Brisbane protest. "Make sure your fuel tanks are full. We hope you can join us to make this the biggest animal rights direct action the world has ever seen," the post read. Listeners have already called into 3AW and reported similar scenes of chaos at Laverton, at the Australian food group Abattoir, MC Herd in Geelong, Toowoomba, and Pakenham South Abattoirs. Goulburn police have already arrested 9 protesters after they stormed an abattoir on Mazamat Road and chained themselves to a conveyor at 4 a.m. this morning. Activists are currently inside Goulburn slaughterhouse, preventing the brutal slaughter of animals as part of coordinated actions across the country to draw attention to the inherent cruelty of animal agriculture and to call for industry transparency, Lost Earthlings said at the time of the sit-in. Police cut the protesters free and are expected to bring charges against 3 men, one aged 46, 2 aged 22, and 6 women aged between 21 and 61 later today. At Warwick, 130 kilometers southwest of Brisbane, about 20 animal rights vigilantes have chained themselves to an abattoir with up to 200 standing outside. The large group has called for an end to barbaric slaughter of the sheep and pigs. Brad King from the activist group Farm Animal Rescue was among these at the protest and said animals slaughtered at the site had endured terrifying deaths. The National Farmers Federation and the Australian Livestock Exporters Council have also tried to warn farmers after an interactive map highlighting the locations was shared among the activists. Wingham farmer Greg Newell, whose property was listed on the map, believes protesters had probably never been on a farm. If they want to protest and sit outside a farm gate, that's one thing. But if they want to trespass on a farmer's property, that's another thing, Mr. Newell told Daily Telegraph. I doubt few of them have ever been on a farm or spoken to a farmer. This is just insanity. The timing of the protest coincides with the 1 year anniversary release of Dominion, an anti farming documentary loved by vegans. The film shows the truth about what is happening to animals in this country and around the world, but it was all Australian footage, Melbourne protester organizer Christine Lee told Today. We want to show we're regular people who have had enough. We are killing the planet and killing animals at rates that are just unacceptable, and drastic times call for drastic measures. So that is why we're here today. We have 9 teams around Australia that are going to places of violence to draw attention to them directly. Scott Morrison has scolded the shameful actions of vegan protesters who have invaded farms and abattoirs. It's shameful. It is un-Australian, Mr. Morrison told 2GB Radio on Monday. This is just another form of activism that I think runs against the national interest, and the national interest is being able to farm their own land. On Sunday, Queensland Agriculture Minister Mark Furner said that he'd had a gut full of activists putting farms at risk. He is drafting regulations that would allow police and agriculture ministers to slap protesters with on-the-spot fines. A family-owned cafe in Victoria has already been forced to close its doors as a result of the ongoing and relentless protests. The Gippy Goat Cafe in the small Victorian town of Yarragon, about 110 kilometers southeast of Melbourne, closed its doors for the final time on Sunday, claiming they could no longer stand the abuse. Owners John and Penny Gomans said they have been targeted for months. They claim tensions have only gotten worse since activists broke into their farm and stole 3 goats last December. For the sake of our health and safety and that of our families and staff, we feel that closing is regrettably the best option, they said in a statement on Sunday. Our staff and customers have been subjected to nearly 4 months of constant harassment, vile statements, and threats from the abusive vegan activists. We have personally been subjected to an appalling stream of threats of extreme violence against ourselves, our family, our staff, and even their families. Our staff have been subjected to daily threats and harassment by phone, and we cannot in good conscience ask them to continue to work under such a condition. Militant vegans who illegally invade farms can now face huge on-the-spot fines of hundreds of dollars. Huge. Queensland state politicians have vowed to get tough on farm invaders to tackle a completely inappropriate era of activism. New regulations are being drafted to allow police to fine activists caught trespassing. Fine them, arrest them. These activities create a serious biosecurity issue as well as putting the lives of farmers, workers, and indeed animals at risk. Queensland's Agricultural Minister Mark Furner told the Courier Mail. We are getting tough on farm invaders because their actions are dangerous. This is one, honestly, that should have been expected long ago. People on the left talk about peace and tolerance and all this other stuff, but the second they're not obeyed, you are to be forced by threats of violence to obey them. They claim to want to end the brutal slaughter of animals, but they threaten a business owner regularly. I'm all for if you want to go vegan, go vegan. If you want to be vegetarian, go vegetarian. If you want to eat meat, eat meat. And this is the difference, honestly, between conservatives and liberals. Conservatives don't like something they don't take part. Liberals don't like something no one is allowed to take part. You look at liberal politicians and their gun control agenda, while they stand protected by men with guns. You look at vegans who want to scream at you and threaten you with violent action against your person if you don't instantly and completely obey them. I've been on a farm. I've many friends who do work still on farms. Any slaughter is instant and very humane. And these people don't know what they're talking about. They're chaining themselves to dangerous equipment that they could inadvertently start. What would have happened if one of them had hit something in the wrong way and people chained to equipment were harmed, dismembered, or killed by it? You can bet that the vegans would have demanded that the people they invaded the business of be put at fault. So they invade a business, chain themselves to dangerous equipment, and if Thankfully, it didn't happen, but if one of them had been hurt, they would have blamed the people that they are invading. It is insanity. It honestly is. And it has to stop. Yes, hold peaceful protest, but don't block traffic. What would have happened had an ambulance been stopped because of these vegans and someone in the back died? They would have, of course, claimed, well, it's a sad thing that happened, but we have a right to protest. What would have happened if someone had lost control of their vehicle and caused a massive wreck? Well, this is what happens. But when they get arrested, well, this is just proof that we need to continue working to make sure everyone is tolerant. Notice you only must tolerate them. They must not tolerate you. It's idiotic. Honestly, it is. But I've talked long enough about this one. What do you think? Let me know what you feel down in the comments. Just keep it classy, keep it civil. We don't learn from argument, we learn from debate. Also, make sure to like the video, please, and hit subscribe and ring the notifications so you're kept up to date with all future content. Not only this, but the rabbit holes I'm working on, how I can properly investigate them and delve in. But until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.